Okay, this is a review for test number 4, which is on Friday. And this is the paper we did in class. So the first one says, the pattern above represents the number of people at Ashley's quinceanera party each minute. And we have to find out what is the expression that represents the number of people at Ashley's quinceanera at any nth minute. So that means we have to come up with an equation. So first, you should write a table. So in the first minute, there are 3 people, because there's 3 smiley faces. In the second minute, there are 5, and in the third minute, there's 7. So there's 2 ways you could find the equation. You could either use stat, or you can do it by hand like I've shown you in class. So I'm going to do it by hand because I don't have a calculator on here I can show you. So to do that, first you figure out the common difference. So each time it's adding 2. So that means that our slope is going to be 2. And then we have to find the y-intercept. So that's when you go backwards to figure out at 0 minutes there was 1 person. Because 3 minus 2 gives you 1, so our y-intercept is 1. So that means before the party even started, 1 person was there. So then the equation, you just use y equals mx plus b. The slope is 2, so that's our m value. And the y-intercept is 1, so that's plus 1. Alright, next it says, how many people will be at her party during the 6th minute? So once again, you could use your calculator and go to y equals and do second graph to figure that out. Or, since I don't have a calculator on here, you can plug in 6. So x is the number of minutes, so instead of x, I'm going to put 6. So 2 times 6 gives you 12, and then you add 1, and you would get 13. So 13 people. Okay, and then part C says, in which minute would Ashley have exactly 121 guests? The easiest way to do it is in your calculator, but I'm going to do it on here. So to figure that out, you would need to make this your y value. So instead of y, I put 121. And you would start solving for x. So your first step would be to subtract 1. So you have 120 left. And then your next step would be to divide by 2. So your x value would be 120 divided by 2, which is 60. So that means 60 minutes. Alright. On to number 2. If y varies directly with x, so when you see these words, you think direct variation. They say determine the constant of variation. So this is your k value. So direct variation is y equals kx. We have to figure out what the k is. So I've told y'all when we did the notes that to find k, you just divide y by x. So the y value in this one is 34 divided by x, which is negative 6. And then when you divide them, you actually would get a decimal. So you would do math enter on your calculator, and you would end up with negative 17 over 3. So that is your k value. Okay, next one says, what is the slope of the line that passes through the point 16, 1, and 425? So this is when you use your slope formula. So if we label the points, it would be x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we just plug it into the formula. So our y2 is 5, so we'd have 5 minus y1, which is 1, over x2, which is 4 minus x1, which is 16. So then 5 minus 1 is 4. And 4 minus 16, that's a negative 12. And now we can still reduce this. So when we reduce it, we end up with negative 1 over 3. Negative 1/3 is our slope. Okay, given the equation 6x minus 3y equals 12, graph the line and give the following values. So before you can graph anything, you always have to solve for y. So that's when you use MDR. So we have to move the unwanted variable. We don't want x, so we're going to move it. And then next is divide. So divide by negative 3. And then we reduce. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is 2x. And 12 divided by negative 3 is minus 4. So we can get parts of our answers from this equation because the 2 is actually our m value and the 4 is our b. So the slope is m, so our m value is 2. And the y-intercept, you always have to write it as a coordinate, and that's our b value, so you would do 0, negative 4. Now to find the x-intercept, we're going to have to graph it. So you always start with the y-intercept, so we'd go to 0, negative 4, and then your slope is 2 over 1, so that's up 2, right 1. So you count up 2 and right 1. Okay, so now from the graph you can see the x-intercept. So once again you have to write it as a coordinate. And the x-intercept is right there. It crosses at 2. So our x-intercept would be 2, 0. Okay, the next one, Cameron's car has 6 gallons of gas and he was able to travel 145 miles till he ran out of gas. If he had twice as much gas, he could travel 288 miles till empty. What is Cameron's rate of change? So rate of change means slope. So we have 4 numbers and we can write coordinates from them. 6 goes with 144 and twice as much would mean 12 gallons goes with 288. So then we can use the slope formula. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So we'd start with y2, which is 288, minus y1, which is 144, over x2, which is 12, minus x1, which is 6. So now when we subtract, you do 288 minus 144, and you get 144. And 12 minus 6 is 6. And when you divide those in your calculator, 144 divided by 6, you get 24. So our rate of change is 24 miles per gallon. So that means on every gallon she can drive 24 miles. Okay, next one, use the graph below to answer the following questions. Graph the correct transformation. So they gave us y equals 2f of x. So this, if you looked on your foldable, since it's outside of the parentheses, we know it's vertical, because all the horizontal ones are inside parentheses. And then since this is a number that's greater than 1, it's a stretch. So that means the y values are going to get bigger. So if we make a table for the original one, our table would have -2, -2, -1, -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. So then our new table, since it's the y values that are changing, our x values would stay the same. And then the y values are going to get bigger. They're going to get twice as big. So we're just going to multiply them all by 2. So that would give us -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. So then you just graph those points on your grid. -2, -4, -1, -2, 0, 0, 1, 2, and 2, 4. And that is your transformation. Okay, the last one is the graph of y equals x squared is given the transformation f of -x minus 2. Which of the following would correctly describe the transformation? So the -2 part, we know since it's in the parentheses, it's horizontal, so that means it's either left or right. And the parentheses also mean do the opposite. So usually minus would mean left, so we know this means right 2. So automatically I can cross off the ones that say left. And then the -x, that's a horizontal reflection. So that means we're going to reflect horizontally, which if something were like this and we were reflecting from side to side, we're actually going to be reflecting over the y-axis. So this is like your mirror. So A is the correct answer.